But as far as website hosting, so I just kind of want to talk a little bit about like what that looks like. And again, I'm going to be extremely simple on this. I am not going to dive into the deep technical aspect. So basically, the domain again is where they're going to, and the hosting is where just think of it as like it's got servers, and that's where your website is stored. So it's hosting is basically the storage behind the website, and the domain is pointing to the server and update it. So it's called the DNS records. I don't want to. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But basically, within the DNS records, your you can update the MX records, which are specific to the email servers. You can update the A records, which are specific to the IP address of where the servers are. Like, for instance, SiteGround has specific, and we have specific IP address. So we update the A record so that it points to the site. That is why you're able to, so like for instance, whenever we're building sites, and somebody currently has a site, we build it in a dev environment. And then once it is ready to launch, we just simply update the DNS records on through the whatever the domain provider is, the DNS records, and we just update the A record to directly go to that IP address. If you have any questions, we can dive into that a little bit more in a future video. But the main concept I want you to understand today is domain equals URL. Hosting provider is basically where the servers are, where the storage is, and the domain using DNS, and specifically the A record points the IP address to the hosting provider. That's why we're able to switch between websites. So once we build in the dev environment, we just update the DNS to the new website that we built, and then the old website we just kind of have to turn off the features, especially depending on if the client's getting having to pay for it and stuff like that. So you just go back to the old website setup and make sure that you turn that off, the hosting. Some have website plans, stuff like that. But